This episode is brought to you by the members of the You Run Podcast Network. All of their shows and our own can be found at yourunpodcast.com, along with links to our socials and to our shop. So please head over to yourunpodcast.com today and find your next podcast experience. We are the home of entertainment.
What's your best time?
The best time is at nighttime.
Heather's raging, old news she screams. The new word chases are all that she dreams. We dive into cases both weird and grim, from Zodiac ciphers to Tiger King's whim. We're You Run Podcast, the oddball pair. We're pretty damn good to be fair. You Run Podcast, through true crime. Heather's ranting, skirts in denial. From Manson's madness to Tupac's case, we're serving up crime with a comical grace. We're digging up dirt with a weekend and nod. You Run Podcast, approved by God. Probably not.
Hello and welcome to the You Me and Heather had a discussion offline that we'll talk about later.
Yeah, anyway.
Welcome to the You Run Podcast True Crime. My name is Scott.
And I'm Heather.
And we are the opinionated true crime podcast that cover the cases you tell us to. Each month we take a poll to Instagram and you guys pick what case we cover. You can find us at You Run Podcast. We're on Instagram. We're also on every other social media as well. So if you're on one of them, go follow us there. If you are on Instagram, follow Heather. She's at Wednesday Wine and Horror. And if you're a weirdo, she will remove you.
Basically. No, I will. I will. If you start commenting hearts on my photos, especially photos of me while I'm, almost 8 months pregnant, or of my children, I don't know you. Like, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be a bitch. But like,
you got to go.
You don't have to comment a heart. Not if I don't know you. Like, don't just like the photo.
Yeah.
Just like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can get in touch with the show as well. You can send us an audio message. You can do that on X or Instagram, and you can just do that from the DM feature. You can also send us an email, yourunpodcast@gmail.com, and you can comment on a Spotify episode. We have got some comments that are racking up, but we're recording in advance. So in about 3 episodes' time, we're going to explain what's happened this year. Probably in the August released episode, September maybe, we're going to explain a lot of what's happened this year, and there's going to be this big dump of comments and messages and stuff that we've got over the first 6 months of the year. This time we've had very little time to prep between episodes, so we've had like a week to go from
a few days to actually really, but kind of about a week.
You called this straight away that this would be the case we would get, and it was an absolute landslide.
I know the listeners. This is the thing. I know. Even when I watched the polls for your other podcast, for the horror movie review, I don't even have to push my finger to vote. I'm like, I know what you fucking people are going to pick, and stop it. Stop. Sometimes what we could have had on the show. I mean, I'm not on that show, but what could have been on horror movie review. And y'all just gotta always. It's almost like y'all are fucking around with them.
Yeah, I genuinely, and honestly, I think they do it on this show as well. So those of you who've not listened before, I'm not the biggest fan of true crime. I find it genuinely scary, and it genuinely affects me.
Yeah.
So when we put a poll out, it's almost like the listeners go, what is the most fucked up, disturbing, awful case of that list, so we can see Scott suffer?
Yeah, because they know you do. It's like you do more of the core of the research, because I already have in my mind most of the stuff is stored there from memory, which is kind of scary in its own. But yeah, they know what triggers you, which cases specifically.
This case triggers me. Today we are looking at Rodney Alcala. Alcala? How do you pronounce it? Alcala.
Alcala. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Fuck him.
Rodney Alcala, who most people will probably know as the dating game killer.
It's like the 70s equivalent to like Tinder or something now, right?
Yeah.
Kinda. That's what it was.
Dating. Stop online dating. Stop.
Yeah.
I online dated.
You did. If you are a first-time listener, we're going to give you an overview of the case. Then we're going to go through all of the facts of the case. And we're going to share our opinions as we go. I'm also going to mention the Netflix movie that's just come out, which Heather hasn't seen yet, but I'm going to bring it up just to...
Yeah.
I'm bringing it up to raise a point that Netflix are trash for how they portrayed this killer and how they portrayed this case.
I just don't know why they made a movie on the
Yeah.
Anyways, it's why it doesn't make any sense that they made the movie focused on the one small detail of the entire case.
Yeah, I agree. I've managed to squeeze a game in on this episode. We are going to play, or we're not going to play. Heather is going to play a true crime inspired version of the dating game. But more about that later. As always, we'll round off the episode with our final thoughts. And Heather, I think for this one, is going to have a handful, if not more, PSAs for all of you surrounding dating and being alone with people and how you look after your kids and how you look after your friends and family. And this case is so bad. It's awful.
It's very vulnerable because a lot of the times we get these cases and they seem to be stuck in the 70s, which, as most of you know, that was one of the most prolific times for serial killers. I would say 70s, even into the obviously 80s. But it's just scary. We still live in a fucked up world, and you still have to be... women especially have to be so protective of everything. But in the 70s, there was so much they were so naive and gullible, and people could come up to you and, I want to take your picture.
Yeah.
Do that shit now. Let Lisa be outside right at the grocery store or the supermarket, whatever, and somebody's like, let me take your picture. I bet you punch them in the fucking throat. Like, it's not the same, but it shows you how much our world has changed. And so, yes, I will throw out my advice.
Many. Rodney Alcala is a serial killer who was convicted and sentenced of 7 murders in the late 1970s. In the early 80s, there was an additional charge added that was later dropped. This man also had a collection of over 1,000 explicit photographs of teenage girls and boys in horrible positions. It's claimed that he sexually assaulted over 300 victims. It's also assumed that he murdered many more people than he was convicted of. Some reports say well over 100. I'm sure everyone will be pleased. Like, Rodney died in 2021. He died in prison from a heart attack, and I think he got off light.
He was old, and fuck him anyway. But I think I got speculation on his killings that it can be somewhere between 130, 150. And if he had that many photos, who's to say it's not higher or lower? That sounds insane when you think about it. How can you kill 130 people
and get away
and
with
only
it?
Get convicted? You're only getting... That's true. And you only got convicted for 7. But thankfully, those 7 at least got convictions because of the technology of DNA that now got him. But it took a lifetime.
It took decades. See, he initially... We'll get to it when we get to sentencing. I don't want to do it now. I'm going to start this episode with a bit of a warning. This is the most unlikely serial killer ever. And he is... I don't know. There's something in here that triggered him, and I can't put my finger on what one thing that is. And if you can, let us know in a Spotify comment or send us a message, because there's so much to this. And he literally went from being what I could see as a well-respectable young man to being, honestly, the biggest piece of trash on the planet.
It's very heavy. It's very loaded. It's not as cut and dry as some of our other cases where we're like, oh, we look at the childhood and we can compare it and say he was beaten, he was abused, he was sexually abused. Just all these things, all these factors that are qualifications for someone to potentially become a serial killer. But Rodney did not. He didn't have any of these things. So this is when we get into the debate of nature versus nurture and then the evil. And I'm going to talk about that because he was evil.
Yeah, he really was. Rodney was born in Mexico in 1943, and he was the third of 4 children. When he was around 11, his dad done the "I'm going to get some milk and
Yeah.
cigarettes" and never come back. And later, their mum moved the family and crossed the border and moved to LA.
Yeah.
This is something we never say. We never said this about a serial killer on any case we've ever covered. Rodney was a gifted student, very social, well liked. He was on the track team. He was in the yearbook planning committee. He was popular with all students and teachers alike.
Mm-hmm.
We've
He
never
was
said
just like
that.
most of the time their attributes as children are not as clean as his. Most of the time there's always something that gets everybody a little suspicious, right? They were killing animals, they were abusive, they were sexually assaulting their siblings, they were committing small crimes. But with Rodney, it doesn't, I mean, yes, his father left, but that's not a prerequisite for anybody becoming a serial murderer at all. But it seems that even through that, he still had, with his mother raising him, he seemed to be like a normal, in quotations, child growing up.
Yeah. And after he graduated high school, he joined the United States Army. And this is where some signs started showing, some really worrying signs. So one of his commanding officers described him as being manipulative, vindictive, and insubordinate. He received several disciplinaries for assaulting women during his term of service. But why? Why did he do that? Like, I can't see he's good at home. He's great. He's a great student. He goes and joins the army, and all of a sudden he becomes a sexual assaulting asshole. Like, I don't know what that trigger was.
I think that sometimes with certain mental illnesses and the fact that they, we'll talk about it, of course, but that he was diagnosed with a social personality. Like when you have like a border personality disorder, a lot of those don't develop until they're older. So like as a child, it may not be indicative. You may not see anything in the child that's too odd.
Yeah.
Perhaps. So as they become a young adult, because their brains are still they're still forming. Their brains are not done. Their critical thinking skills, everything is still going. So I feel like that is probably what happened, is that it was always there, but it was not time for it to peek its head out yet, so to speak.
Yeah, and it really did peek its head out. So in 1964, he was described as having a mental break, is what the army statement is, and he went AWOL. When he was found, he was placed under the unit psychiatrist for an evaluation, and the report was damning enough. They discharged him on medical grounds.
Yeah.
Mental health care in the 1970s was not good, and he simply shouldn't have been released anywhere. So this is what he was diagnosed with: antisocial personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, psychopathic and sexual sadism tendencies, and he had an IQ of 135. So he was a narcissist with psychopathic and sadist tendencies. He was incredibly intelligent, and they just went, "Yeah, you're cool. Have fun."
It's just the dichotomy of psychiatry when you look at it in 70s and now, because you're looking at a whole lifetime of learning and things that they figured out why people are not able to get away with stuff the way that they could then. And the way that Rodney was so narcissistic, such a smooth talker, that he could talk his way out of a mental illness. Now, who the fuck do you know that can do that? Not even your most cunning You don't really hear about people like that these days. Even when we have a serial killer on our hands, you don't hear about how cunning they were because psychiatry was not, it was developing, it was still like a fetus, it was not like ready yet. So they're just like, well, he has these tendencies, but I guess without any physical proof or any physical, like he hasn't done anything. But
so he's fine.
Like the psychopathic sadistic, like the sadism, come on, that's a that's a warning sign in itself, but they didn't take it like that, unfortunately.
No, they didn't. After his discharge, he went and graduated UCLA School of Art and Architecture, and he later went on to New York University, where he studied under Roman Polanski. I seriously don't have enough time to talk about his mentor Polanski and how much of a scumbag he is, and how much it annoys me that corrupt Hollywood pedophile has an Oscar in his trophy cabinet, and the fact he is not in prison. I don't have time for that today, but he makes me so angry.
So you'll never do Rosemary's Baby on the show, because that's one of his films, right? That's
I would cover Rosemary's Baby, and I would probably throw in the true crime element. Maybe that's a crossover episode.
That may look, that movie, I like that movie. That movie is shot beautifully. I don't know if we knew everything about the sex pestness and the horrible allegations at that time. That was in the 60s.
Yeah.
But Rosemary's Baby is really good. I don't condone any of that behavior. There's lots of Hollywood people that are like that, obviously. But anyways, if you do decide to do it, ask me, but don't do it for a while because I'll be having a baby. So not Rosemary's Baby, but Heather's baby. So
Heather's baby. And if you want to know about Roman Polanski, just type Roman Polanski criminal charges into Google. And honestly, after about a 3-second scroll, you'll be like, I hate this guy. Awful.
I mean, he wasn't a good dude, but like I said,
he could direct a film. Yeah, I'll give him that. But he's
Rosemary's Baby is cinematic. Chef's kiss. That's all I'm going to say. Okay.
I cannot warn you enough about what you're about to hear is awful. There are things in this that would make Ted Bundy cringe. There's things this guy done that even the likes of Bundy and Dahmer would be like, oh, dude, like, you've got a bit far there. It's so awful. And yeah, the fact that I'm going to bring it up now, the fact that Netflix picked a tiny part of what this man done and focused on it honestly sickens me a little bit. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more in depth later, but once we've gone through everything he's done, I'm going to tell you when we hit the bit that Netflix touch on, and then everyone else can be just as annoyed and sickened as I am. Rodney kicked off his crimes in the most disgusting and horrific way I could possibly think. He lured an 8-year-old girl, Tally Shapiro, into his Hollywood apartment. By the time police arrived, Tally had been beaten and raped and was laying in a pool of her own blood. He had beaten her so badly she was in a coma for 32 days and spent months in recovery.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's not anything else to...
No.
What do you say about that?
Yeah, like life imprisonment and the death penalty. Like from here, like this case over, surely. No,
you would think.
You would think it's not even close. So he'd already left the scene, and in a way to avoid the warrant, he just moved to New York and changed his name to John Berger. Like you can't do that now, but back then you could. No one had paperwork. It was like, yeah, my name's John Berger, and everyone, okay, great, sign there.
No Brilliant. Background checks were really done. Well, if they did one, it was so light that they would have never.
No, never tied it together. In 1971, he had met and killed Cornelia Criley. So this was a young lady who just moved into her apartment, and she needed a hand to carry some things in. So Rodney helped her. He raped her and strangled her with her own nylon stockings. Her murder has remained unsolved until 2011.
Yeah, because of DNA, and and things of that nature. So if they wouldn't have done that, all these crimes would have gone unsolved.
Yeah. Later that year, he managed to get a job. Now, given his previous problem and the previous things he'd done, he got a job as a counselor for children at the New Hampshire art camp.
Yeah.
And
He
at the
didn't do
time,
background check.
no, and at the time he got this job, he was number 3 on the FBI's 10 most wanted men in America.
I know. I seen it.
Thankfully, some of his students saw the FBI's 10 most wanted poster and went, "Oh, that's
They're
our
like, that's our
counselor."
counselor.
Yeah.
we know that motherfucker right there. Yeah, it's nuts. Like,
It's crazy. And like at this point, so that's life in prison and the death penalty now, right?
no.
No,
What? Are you talking to me? No.
well, no, it's not. So he was arrested for the crime. He was charged
Yes.
and he was taken to court. Tali's parents had relocated to Mexico and taken Tali with her after what had happened. And I can't fault them for wanting to be as far away from that area as
Yeah.
humanly possible. Because they couldn't attend court, the prosecution lessened the charge. So instead of it being rape and attempted murder, they dropped it to child molestation. And they gave him a sentence of only 3 years. I've got 2 questions here. Number 1, why would you give a lesser charge? And number 2, how the fuck is the sentence for molesting a child only 3 years?
Yeah, even if it were only that, which it was, that's not even the right verbiage.
No.
There are people that look at my face. Like, I got 16 chins in this one shot because y'all, I cannot fathom that if someone did that to my child and they're like, oh, you're just going to get 2.5, 3 years. Like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm going to go to jail and be the one to get the life sentence because I'm going to kill that person.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense because you have to think again, like we were talking about psychiatry and like the development. Maybe it's like the judges were the same way. The judges in the jury, right? It's like, are y'all all fucking stupid? Did y'all? This little 8-year-old girl was this close to dying. She almost lost her life, and it goes beyond molestation. We're not going to get.
Yeah,
that's not what he did. He raped her. He raped and almost murdered her.
Yeah, and he beat her till she was in a coma for 32 weeks.
And she was a little girl. I saw her photo. I mean, prior, of course, to that happening. And she's 8. So, yeah, obviously she's small, but she was like really small for 8. She's just a tiny little thing.
Yeah, it's horrific. Now, he was let out in 1974 in the summer, but by November, he was back in prison, this time for sexually assaulting a 13-year-old girl who we only know referred to as Julie J from the court transcripts.
Yes.
For this, he got an additional 2 years added to his sentence and was out again in early 1977. Now, given his crimes and what he's been to prison for, his parole officer said to him, you want to move to New York? Yeah, that's cool. Just check in with me by phone. So he went to New York. This is a repeat offender who molests children and is known for going on the run. And they're like, yeah, you cool. You can go back to New York. What?
And he was on FBI most wanted list. Like, you would think that they would not let him slip through their fingertips at all. If you're on the FBI most wanted list, those are the ones that they're hunting down. Those are the criminals that they're like, we've got to find them, and then they're never going to be free again. But it was almost like, did y'all just need to add an extra person in there because you fucking didn't have enough people? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, and he was in Manhattan for less than a week. When he murdered 23-year-old Ellen Jane Hoover, which blew my mind. So she was the goddaughter of Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr.
Yep.
And what he'd done with her is he killed her and then he moved her body and he buried her under some rocks overlooking the Hudson River. which is kind of what kept him out of prison. So they interviewed him, and he's like, yeah, sure. I knew her. Yeah, knew her really well. Yeah, no, I haven't seen her. And because there was no body, there was no evidence, there was nothing to tie him to that crime. There was no CCTV. No one had seen them together. So he basically just walked free again.
It's just the policing ain't policing.
No, the LA police,
they were
the New York
like,
police are not policing at all. They're awful. LA police are better. New York police are awful in this case.
It just doesn't make any sense. Anyways.
But with all this heat on him in New York, because he knew the police were now looking at him and he was a person of interest, he just fucked off back to LA. Went and got a job as a typesetter for the LA Times, because that's just what you do in the 70s.
Irony.
It was around this time that he started building his collection of explicit photos, if we can call it that. And what he would do is he would convince young boys and girls that he would just go up and introduce himself as a professional photographer, tell them that he could get them their big break in Hollywood. And I'm sure he name dropped Polanski every single fucking opportunity he got.
Yeah, I'm sure so.
I bet those two were really close when they studied together. I bet like he was Polanski's favorite student. I'm fucking sure of it. Believe it or not, he was actually questioned by the FBI's. So if anyone knows about the Hillside Strangler task force,
same time.
Exactly the same time. He was questioned by then, but because he had alibis, he was never investigated anymore. And obviously he wasn't the Hillside Strangler. That was two people that I'll save that because I'm sure at some point they're going to pop up on the show.
We'll put it on the show. I'm sure. Yeah.
Now, during this time in LA, when he was in LA, 1977 to 1979, he committed an absolute myriad of other crimes and murders, and even appeared on a popular TV game show. And before we do the dating game. We'll take a break before we tell you everything he'd done in LA, because it's about to get heavy.
I take like one sip of my drink and then I drop my full drink right on the robot.
To hear the rest of this story and many others like it, mixed in with film reviews, music discussion and true crime, You Gonna Eat That Crust podcast is the place for you. Hosted by Ryan, Greg and Seamus, the Crusty Boys bring you something truly unique every single episode.
Jack is useless. He pulls out his knife and he immediately loses the knife.
While if in-depth film discussion covering all movie genres is your thing, then Movies for Days is the place for you. Hosted by Newman, this show is hilariously funny and so detailed. These and many other shows all available at yourunpodcast.com. So please head over to yourunpodcast.com. Check out the other shows. There's so much in there that is going to entertain you and keep you engaged. There's also links to our other shows and our YouTube channel, which we've got loads of cool stuff on at the moment. Also a link to our shop and everything else. Like yourunpodcast.com got links to everything. Let's talk about his LA crime spree. I really don't want to. This is the bit of the case where I'm going to get really, really pissed off. There's a lot to take in here, and I've broken it down and I've put the dating game moment exactly where it happened within his crime spree. So you get an understanding of just how fucking insane this is. So in November, 9th of November 1977, Jill Terry Barcombe, a 27-year-old nurse, was raped and strangled with a pair of blue rope ties. She was initially believed to be the victim of the Hillside Strangler, and it wasn't until so when the Hillside Stranglers were arrested, they were like, they literally confessed to everything, and they're like, Jill, but no, we don't know her. No, we didn't do that one. Like, we've done all the others, but, and the police sort of went, oh well, back in the unsolved pile. Now, a month later, on the 16th of December, Georgia Marie Wickstead was found dead in her apartment. As with the previous victim, she'd been raped, she'd been beaten, she'd been strangled with her own stockings, and in escalation, her genitals had also been mutilated with a knife, and her skull had been caved in.
Yeah, it's again not to keep bringing up Bundy. I think you. I hope you guys don't think that like, oh, that's the only reference they ever have. But Alcala. I don't know how to
Yeah,
say it. I still don't know how to say it.
R-
It doesn't matter.
Rodney.
Rodney. We'll just say Rodney. Ugh. His mo is like they're the same. They're so similar. And I couldn't remember if Bundy's crimes came. I think they were not intertwined, but they came after.
They're in that same time period.
Sort of, kind of, but not really because it hadn't got enough notoriety yet. I don't think, perhaps, but either way, whatever.
Yeah.
It was just so similar because of the mutilation of the genitals, the way that he strangled his victims, and also blunt force trauma. That was another thing that Rodney used a lot. And then
not
you
only
need to
that,
make
though,
sure.
but also they were
Well,
both charismatic, and they both
well,
got their victims by way of seduction as opposed to by way of force.
well, I would say that Rodney was even more charming than Bundy. To be honest with you, he would be more. I hate that I'm gonna even say this. Don't nobody come at me, give me any flack about this. But he was more, I would say, more like attractive in that sense because he had like some type of swag. You want to call it
Yeah.
that about him? That because Bundy was charming in a different way, but Rodney was charming and like women let him just take their pictures. Like Bundy
Yeah.
didn't really get that involved with the. Do you know what I mean? Like he didn't
Yeah.
get quite as involved, but Rodney did.
Yeah, and I kind of get that because Rodney he was a fairly well built guy. He had like
Yeah,
long flowing hair. He was very confident. He was
yeah.
the sort of guy that if you went and spoke to a girl, he'd be very confident because he's a narcissist. He thinks he's hot shit.
Uh,
And
exactly. Yeah, that helped.
and the thing is, like, genuinely, if you've got an element of confidence to you and you go and speak to a woman, they will respond to you better than if you go over and go, "Hi, my name's Rodney." Like,
Well, yeah, he wasn't. I wouldn't even say that he was egotistical. Really, it was because of the narcissism. It actually made him seem more put together. But a true narcissist, they don't have anybody's feelings but their own. They do. They literally can not have any remorse or anything for anything they do. People sad. It doesn't matter. That's the true narcissist right there. So yeah, like for him, it was just like easy to be so conniving and so suave, and he was. I mean, he was suave. There you go.
yeah, he genuinely was. 24th of June 1978, Charlotte Lee Lamb, 31, was found beaten, raped, and strangled with shoelaces in the laundry room of her apartment. Now, 4 murders. We're now in 4 murders into his LA spree. And I guess Rodney just wanted a bit of time out and like a bit of time to himself, do something different. So he went and appeared on The Dating Game on national television. Number one, in the 70s, there was no background checks for contestants on game shows at all.
Even if there were, it was not enough to like. They basically, I don't think they did one at all.
No,
But if they did, it was like, what did you do? Just like ask him some questions, and that was their background check. They're like, "Have you killed anyone?" No. Okay, we're good. You're good. Come on the show.
yeah, it's like the questions you
Nuts.
get when you go to the airport. Did you pack your own bag? Yes. Have you got any explosives in your bag? Well,
You're like,
clearly not.
no.
And even if I did, like if I was a terrorist, am I going to go, oh, do you know what? You've rumbled me. Yes, there is actually an explosive device in my bag.
It's
Terribly
so
sorry.
yeah.
It's
So
it's
nuts.
that's the level of checks that they done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rodney went on to win the show, and he won a
Mhm.
date with Cheryl Bradshaw, who after
Mhm.
the show, when they had some time backstage, Cheryl went, absolutely not, fuck no, you are creepy and I don't like you. And that was the end of that. Which, to put the film that Netflix put out in context, I summed
Woman of
up
the hour. Yeah.
I summed up the entirety of their movie, pretty much. The main plot point of their movie in a single sentence of over a 1 hour episode, and Netflix dedicated an hour and 30 minutes to the dating game, ignoring many of the other horrific crimes this guy done, and romanticize him as some sort of sexually attractive serial killer that women swoon. And honestly, it's the biggest load of trumped up bullshit because they wanted to use the dating game as their big selling point, and it pissed me off.
But that didn't have it barely even it doesn't really have much to do. It's just more of a like recognizer, like a recognizable thing, so that people, if you ask them, if you say who's Rodney Alcala, people are like, huh? And you're like the dating game guy. They're like, oh yeah, I know that. That's what it was for. And I did not watch the film because we had this discussion, and I was like, it looks kind of, I don't know if it's going to even help me get any more information on the case than it wouldn't have. But they fabricated a lot of stuff because they did. I mean, they made up shit that wasn't true in the film. So I wouldn't use that as a basis. I would just recommend that when you want to do research, watch a movie. That's fine. It can give you some good points, but definitely don't use it based upon your knowledge to talk about the serial killer, because it's most likely fabricated very much.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, the movie as a movie, everyone's great. Everyone plays it. The guy who plays Rodney is genuinely scary, and he looks like Rodney as well. They cast it great. Yeah. It's a good movie. It's just a bad representation. A little bit like they've done with the Menendez brothers. The same complaint we had with that. They sexualized this character and made him someone that women are going to lust over, as opposed to going, this guy raped and beat a child. Like that bit, they completely left out. They're like, oh, that's not going to go with the image we're selling, so we'll just leave that bit out. People don't need to know that. And like all the bits that have the Menendez, and
those two men. It's so crazy that you can't get on social media without, if you see a reel, and I forget their real names in real life because I didn't.
Lyle and Eric.
Well, yeah, them, but I mean like the actors who play them.
Oh, sexy
like
hot
Nick
guy
Chavez or something. Yeah, I don't know. One of them is he's gay, and the other one's not. But anyway, regardless of that, it's just every time you get on like Instagram or the reels, you're like, it's always like some sexy and like okay, they're good looking dudes. That's fine, but like the real Menendez brothers were really not, to me. Not.
No, like I don't want to be horrible. The real Menendez brothers were goofy looking guys.
I mean, they just look like 80s.
Yeah, just
whatever. I don't.
80s rich kids.
Yeah, there you go. Anyways,
so after this brief dating game experiment that Rodney done, he was apparently upset that he didn't get his date, which I imagine a narcissist would be. But it didn't stop him picking up right where he left off. On the 14th of February 1979, what a prick, Valentine's Day, 15-year-old Monique Hoyt took a lift from Rodney. She was hitchhiking to get home. Now, Rodney took her to a secluded area of the mountains where he bound, beat, raped, and sodomized her. She was smart. I've got so much admiration for the intelligence and the resilience of this girl. So she went along. Everything Rodney said, she's like, yeah, cool. Yeah, cool. And afterwards, when it was done and it was time for Rodney to complete and kill her, she went, basically, this was great. Can we go back to your apartment and carry on?
She mind fucked the narcissist.
Yeah, to which Rodney went, this is amazing. She understands how fucking amazing I am. Yes, of course we can go back. He had to stop and get gas. As soon as he got out and went into the store, she was gone. And I'm so pleased that she is as intelligent as she was and as resilient to go through that. And instead of giving up, that we've seen in so many cases where people get in this situation, they just resign themselves to the fact of it's over. She was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm getting out of this, and I know I'm getting out of it. And she did. And she filed a police report. Rodney was arrested for this horrific crime. So it ends now, right? This is the end of the show?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. No,
No.
it's not. It's fucking ridiculous. He literally has been
He's
arrested
got
26 times. Like,
honestly, he's like a cat. He's got so many lives, and this time
he
it was his
did.
mum. His mum bailed him out.
Yeah, that me and Steven were talking about that when he was watching the documentary with me. Well, one of the documentaries that I watched, and he was sort of like, "Well, if my son, did something like that, I would not be able to, even though you love your child, he couldn't bail him out.
No.
He would be like, I think that you're going to stay there. That's where you are." And I get that it becomes a moral, like that's hard to say. What would you do? But you couldn't let even if it is your son, you couldn't let him out to potentially hurt other, well, he's going to hurt other people.
Yeah, I'll give you a fourth wall break a little bit here. So when I was growing up, one of my parents' friends, their son killed someone. Deliberately, it
gosh.
was a case of it was a premeditated murder, and they went out and killed someone. And
Damn.
I remember I was a teenager at the time, and I remember that mum being at our house talking to my mum and having that sort of, I genuinely don't know what to do because I love
Yeah.
him unconditionally, but I also right now cannot stand him. I don't want to look at him. I don't want to see him.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's done like that. Process for a
Ugh.
parent must be horrific to know what they've done and have that
Yeah.
love there for someone who's so evil.
Yeah, I can't. I don't ever know that feeling, but I've watched enough true crime docs, and I've just in general watched enough documentaries, and not even necessarily true crime, but it's very. I don't even know if I can find the right word for it. It would be very compounding to have to make the decision, no matter how much you love your child, but your child is a serial killer or they committed a crime, they killed someone. School shootings, and then the kids that do that, and then you talk to the parents after. It's devastating. You can't be okay with that. I think you can still love your child is where I'm getting at, but I don't think that you can't condone that because like that's your fucking child. But I couldn't let my child back out into society on purpose is where I'm getting at. I would not want them to hurt anyone else.
No, I think I'm the same as you. And like we've spoken about this before, we don't hit our kids. Like hitting kids is wrong. But I think in that scenario, if one of my teenage boys had killed someone, I think if there was a face-to-face, I think there would be an explosion of emotions. And I think the likelihood of me punching my child on the nose is fucking high, very high.
Well, I think, I mean, I think it's a different circumstance, but let's just hope that doesn't happen to either one of us. Please, no.
Both of my children are not that way inclined. They're very much,
I mean, mine aren't either. Mine are like, if anything, I have to worry. I have to always be protective of them because they're pushovers sometimes.
Yeah, I'm more concerned that they're going to get injured than the other way around.
Yeah. Well, let's hope. Let's hope not. God, we just went really dark. We're all like,
we did
nightmares.
Let me lighten it up a little bit. So I remember when my eldest son Kane, he was 16, and he got in a fight that he kind of instigated, having that teenage bravado. And this fight was with someone a couple of years younger than him, and younger kid beat him really bad, like black eyes, busted his nose, and he come back to me, and I was like, "What on earth happened? What happened?" To which his friend went, "I have a video," and
of course, those little fuckers. They always
and like this was a real learning curve for him because he had that teenage, I am unstoppable, and this guy who's I don't know a foot shorter than him with no muscle or anything like that absolutely whooped him. And I explained to him that
his ass.
Yeah, and I said to him, like, it's all about the environment you grew up in. You grew up in a loving home. I haven't taught you to throw hands. Like, you're not that kid.
Yeah, and so when he gets himself into that situation, maybe the verbal altercation, and he was like, "Oh, I can beat this kid up because he's younger than me," but like age has nothing to do with it. Sort of like you've seen the Black Phone, right? The movie,
Yeah,
The Black Phone. I love that film. And I'm only bringing this up because the little guy, the little Hispanic guy, beat the fuck out of those kids. I mean, he was like
yeah,
little guy, and he was like Ralph Macchio karate kidding all those all those people. So it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. But also, that kid came from probably had to fight, probably kind of a bad household. But it
it's
was like
nature, nurture.
it
Like,
is because our kids are not like we say the same thing to my oldest Savoy.
yeah,
We're like, don't start shit that you can't finish with people because he is 5'8" already at 13, okay? But he's very thin. He's a skinny he's skinny. And so we're like, dude, one punch will knock your ass out. So we just
yeah,
don't encourage them to fight. Like obviously we want like you got to defend yourself. We don't want them to get hurt. But at the
yeah,
same time, don't talk shit. Talk shit, get hit.
yeah. And I
So
agree. And it's one of those things that is
anyway.
the environment. The environment Kane grew up in was a very nurturing, loving,
Yeah.
non-violent
Yeah.
home where the other kid come from a pretty rough estate where s-
Yeah.
scraps in the street with his friends was a daily thing. And yeah, lesson
It
learned for
sucks.
Kane.
I mean, it sucks, but at the same time, hopefully the kid gets some better guidance down the road because that can
Th-
lead. We do true
They're
crime enough
friends
that
now.
can lead to not good stuff.
Yeah, they're
Other
friends
friends.
now, and he's a really nice kid as well. Um, Back to this
Oh,
case.
yeah.
So Rodney got away with it again. His mum bailed him out. And on the
Yeah.
13th of June, 1979, he started the first of his two killings that he would complete in 3 days. So on the 13th of June, 21-year-old Jill Marie Panetero was found dead in her apartment, having been raped, beaten, and strangled.
Hmm.
On the 20th of June, 12-year-old, I hate this guy, 12 years old. A
12.
12-year-old girl disappeared from her home disappeared on her way home from ballet class. Her body was discovered 12 days later. She had been
Hmm.
beaten, raped, and stabbed to death during her attack.
And that was the last. That was his last That was the last one, I believe. I
Yeah,
think her name was Samantha.
it
I'm
was.
very really bad. I don't want to be disrespectful. I can't remember names and stuff of the victims necessarily unless we put it down. But yeah, there was a silver lining in her case though. Like in the documentary, her mom was able to have a plaque made in honor of her and stuff like that. Not that that makes it any better, but it was sort of a way to like still be able to remember her because the cops were very shitty in how they handled the case, and it was sort of like, oh, we're not going to help you until because she's not meant like. It was just not very good. It seems like they almost were like, oh, well, she's not missing long enough for us. So whatever.
Yeah,
She's
and
12.
unfortunately, the stupid thing is that's still a thing now with police. Like,
It's
there's got to be a certain amount of time that a child's missing before they.
Why? I don't understand that in this fucking world. If my kid was missing for like an hour and you knew that okay, first of all, they weren't able to drive. They're too young to drive and they're missing. Like get
Yeah,
off your fucking ass and go do your job. I don't
and
need why do you need to wait what is it 20 is it 24 hours I believe is the
to 24.
stipulation?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
kid can be dead by it just
And and not only that, there's an element of knowing your children as a parent. So I
yeah.
know the routines of my children. Like when they were growing up, I knew that they come in at a certain time and they done
Yeah.
things at a certain time because that's the routine that's kind of just their day-to-day life. So if
Yes.
they are an hour late and I can't get hold of them and I can't get hold of their friends,
Panic.
then I
Panic
know
room.
that, yeah, I know there's a problem. And for the police
Yes.
to tell me as a parent that, no, everything's fine. we'll wait till this time
How the
tomorrow.
fuck do you know?
Yeah, the fuck we will. Like, I'll go out and look. If you're not going to go look,
No,
I'll go look.
exactly. Like, you might as well just do your own detectiving, because it's just like that's how they look at it. And I'm sorry, but especially like a younger child, I would say a teenager could be more prone to like it really just legitimately being, where the fuck were you at, and getting mad with them because they were fucking being irresponsible. But like, let's say a 12-year-old girl, an 8-year-old girl, a 10-year-old girl, they're not.
No, I'd be losing my mind.
I'd be going fucking crazy. I'd be right there with you.
Yeah.
No.
Now, we bashed the court system throughout this episode because the
Always.
court system have let this guy go and given him stupid sentences for god-awful crimes time
Fucking
and time
stupid.
and time again.
Now, this is one of the worst I think that the court system has been. I mean, yes, they've all been shitty to some point, but it's like they just played cat and mouse with him. They were like, "Oh, we'll let you go. It's fine. You basically almost murdered an 8-year-old, but it's fine."
Yeah, we're going to give you 2-year sentence, even though you were 3rd on America's most wanted list
Fucking
for the
FBI.
FBI.
Dude, I do not. That part right there is like, again, did you just need a fucking face to fill a little photograph? Because why? What was the point of putting him on there?
And to put it in perspective, at one point, Osama bin Laden was 3rd on the FBI's most wanted list.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
he's sitting in that position of the FBI's most wanted list. They catch him, they arrest him, they charge him. It goes to court, and he gets 3 years, and he's out again. Like,
he's out in
how does
2.5,
that happen?
actually. He didn't even say the full 3. Yeah, it was like 2.5, and he was already out. That's what I'm saying. It's like so hard to know. Like, I wasn't alive then, and you weren't either, and you still are just thinking like, okay, probably the judge and the jury. Let's just say the judge is probably not alive anymore either. But I don't know what the thought process was. Like, you're supposed to be in law to protect and serve. Like, if you're a police officer, just whatever. But like, what were y'all doing? Sticking fingers up your assholes? Because that's what it seemed like to me. It's just like, I think I would lose my shit, and people would think I was psychotic if that were my child that had been almost killed, and then they're just basically like, people go to jail longer for weed, and that is so crazy to me, right? And weed is like, hey, do you, boo? I don't care, don't bother me. But that's my thing. People be going to jail.
Yeah, people get 6 to 7 years for having too much weed.
It's so nuts. Yeah, for having too much. I mean, I get it. Don't be giving it to fucking kids. They don't need it. But at the same time, like, if you're not murdering, this is my thing on that. Like, if you're not hurting anyone, and I would say 9 out of 10 times stoners are not hurting anyone. That's their prerogative. Do what they want. Don't give it to kids. Don't try not to encourage that. But again, they've been going to jail for a long time.
Yeah.
Quit wasting the taxpayers. Like, do something better with your life. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
It's dumb. It's dumb.
The police in this, the New York police were trash. They were awful. They didn't investigate or catch anything. The LA police were not the best in the handling of some of this, like the girl who'd gone missing, because they were very much like, we follow the protocol. But what they were really good at is collecting evidence. And over time, they managed to connect enough together that they could tie Rodney to some of these murders. And he was arrested and charged with murder and convicted of murder, successfully sentenced to life in prison. Over the next, I don't know, it took till 2013. So over the next lots and lots of years, they slowly, with the introduction of DNA evidence, tied the other 7 murders that they suspected him of but couldn't prove it back to him. And he got sentenced to death. And he got, every time they added a conviction, it was an additional life sentence on top of the one he was already serving, plus the death penalty. Rodney appealed every single one. Every single case was a slam dunk with evidence. Every single appeal was shut down. And
thank God.
I looked through his appeal history. So, like, he appealed, and it got to the first court, and the first court went no. And then he appealed to the next court up, and they went no. And then he appealed to the next court up, and they went no. And he literally done that with every single conviction. And not one time did they even entertain giving him a retrial or a relook at it. Every time it was like, no.
He also acted as his own attorney. Like,
and he looked mental when
just like fucking Bundy did. Bundy, I could just defend myself. What different situation, because Bundy actually kind of went to like did some law school stuff, but like Rodney was just like, I got this, fam.
Yeah.
No, you don't actually. Stupid.
Yeah, he genuinely believed that he would charm the jury and the jury would love him.
Oh, he did, because he charmed lots of other people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't. And the judge didn't fall for any of his shit either. The judge like, hey, you'll go to prison and you're going to die there. Thanks for coming. You're scum.
Yeah. Thank God.
But it took so long. Like his first crime of that poor little girl, Tally, through to his last crime, again, of a little girl. All that time, they had so many opportunities to keep him in prison forever. And every time they got a chance, they were like, no, you're good. Oh, you're on parole.
It's not even, it's like a slap on the wrist is the, verbiage to use for that. They did. They just like, oh, but.
Yeah, off you go. You're fine. If you've got thoughts on this case, please remember you can get in touch. Send us an email, yourunpodcast@gmail.com, or send us a voice note DM. In a future episode, we'll play them, we'll discuss them, and we'll bring this case up again and go through it. Have you got any final thoughts on Rodney before we kind of wrap and play our little fun game to lighten things up again after this asshole's made me depressed and miserable?
Well, don't let him ruin your life. He's dead, so fuck him. Yeah. Anyways, he's not even worm food anymore. I would say basically, like, my final thoughts on this are just that him being able to get away with all this stuff, as we've done so many serial killers, and there for a short time they do get away with stuff, right? They do. Okay, there you go. They get away and then whatever. But he is a special case in the sense of, like, it really felt like how much charm can get you through life. And it feels like his charm got him, basically kept him out of fucking prison for most of his life. Not until, of course, technology advanced and DNA, and they were able to catch him. I have so much sadness for all these other victims and the families, because they will probably never get closure in any form, because he's dead. And what are you supposed to do? And I did want to bring up another little point too, is like, we talk about this sometimes with our serial killers, and if they're a process or a product killer. And a process killer is more of someone who enjoys the actual act of killing, like the process of killing. Product killer is more so for the trophy. So a lot of the times the serial killers are not both. Rodney was both. He enjoyed the process because he enjoyed raping, torturing, bringing the victims in and out of life, in and out of consciousness. Okay, that's what he did. But he also kept tons of their shit. That's another reason how they found him, because he kept jewelry and all that shit. He kept memorabilia from the killings. So if you guys are interested, if you ever want to look that stuff up, it's very interesting to see that what motivates the serial killer. And for him, it was all of it. And that right there shows us that this is one of the worst ones we've done, in the sense of, like, just how he went through everything. And also, I'd like to add, I guess, my little PSA. I haven't really done one, but I just want everybody needs to be careful. Okay. We don't live in a safe world. We live in a fucked up world. And I met my husband on a dating website over 10 years ago. Yes, I was extremely scared he was going to strangle me with my purse. I'm not joking. I really was like, like, meeting him, it was like,
he turned out to be a super nice guy. He turned out to be a super nice guy. Yeah. He's fine. You're having another baby with him. You can't just say he's fine.
My baby's kicking me now. Anyways, so the point is to always be careful, be very vigilant. You young ladies, don't let some handsome guy charm your panties off, okay? Let's be your own FBI. Let's do some look. It's not that hard to get on Facebook and stalk people before you go on a date with them or something like that, right? Especially the technology now. I just need people to be careful because anybody can lie to you. Anybody can lie to you through the internet. And luckily, I met a nice guy. And luckily, he didn't strangle me with his purse. I mean, with my purse. And so, like, luckily, everything is fine. If anything, I think he thought I might kill him because,
to be fair to him, if it was going to go down either way, that's the way it would have happened.
I'm more of the aggressor for sure. But in all saying that, joking aside, I just think that the PSA is to be very vigilant. Watch out for yourself. Be careful. Don't keep your eyes open. Okay. Keep your antennas up. Keep those eyes open and just always be alert. And I hate to say that, but it's for men and women. This isn't just for the ladies.
No.
Be safe out there, guys. We love y'all. We don't want anything to happen to you. I don't.
Yeah, I don't either. And yeah, you're right. It's dangerous for guys dating now as well. It's
dangerous for everybody that has a fucking pulse to date because you can't trust anybody. These apps have become more of a like, when we gonna fuck instead of like a way to, because in society today, you don't meet people organically. Not like we're in our 40s. So when we first met people, we might have met them at a bar, right?
Yeah. That's how it works.
That was safe to do it back then, right?
That's
but
how
nowadays, well, see, I didn't meet Steven that way, but I also different situation. It makes more sense that you would meet Lisa that way. I did not because I was a single mom, divorced, and I had 2 children. I wasn't going out at all, and it was more of a I'll try this. We'll see what happens. I deactivated it. I remember not even wanting to use it. And long story short, activated it again and kind of there you go. He's in the living room up there with my baby. Baby daddy. But anyways, you guys, love y'all. I do.
This case is so unsettling for me. The things that he done upset me a lot. And the fact it could have all been stopped at that first conviction. It's just the failure of justice across the board. And it's almost like the police done their job. They're like, hey, look, we caught this guy. He'd done all these wrong things. Sentence him. And the judge went, okay, you can have 3 years. And then they let him out and the police catch him and go, hey, we caught this guy again. Like, I know you gave him 3 years last time, but he's done it again now. So can you put him in prison longer? The judge went, you can have another 2 years. And then like they catch him again and go, how about that? And he goes, no. We're gonna allow him to be bailed this time. But the police must have been at a point like, are you fucking serious? Like, how much shit does this guy need to do? And it bugged the shit out of me. I hate this guy. I hate this case. And now we're going to lighten it up.
He dead. Scott, he deader than a damn fucking doornail. So now we don't have to worry about it. My condolences always go out to the victims' families and friends because it fucking sucks that they did not everybody got the closure that they deserve for their poor daughters and sons. Though I never saw any photos of the boys, but I mean, I know that was I think he obviously was more sexually towards women, but at the same time,
out of the 1,000 whatever it was photographs, there was only 300 of those that they could publish out into the world, which is awful.
They were nasty. To say that raunchy in a raunchy way, right? They were NSFW, right? Not safe for work. They were nasty. That was the whole point. He was disgusting, and
he was.
Yeah,
and we'll lighten it up now. We'll send you all away with a smile and a laugh. And well,
oh God. I wish I could show my belly. I'm pregnant.
So
She's
welcome to the U-Run.
The fuck out of me.
Welcome to the U-Run podcast dating game. Our contestant today is heavily pregnant Heather, who's already married.
I need a baby daddy.
How this is going to work is I'm going to give Heather 3 separate quotes. Now, each one of these quotes link back to a case that we have covered on this show.
Okay. I won't remember.
This is kind of the whole point of this. This is why it makes it fun.
Love you too.
All you need to do is, out of these 3 quotes, is I want you to pick Bachelor number 1, Bachelor number 2, or Bachelor number 3.
Okay. Perfect.
So your first Bachelor's quote: I should have gone to college. I should have gone to real estate. I should have got into real estate and got myself an aquarium. That's what I should have done. That's Bachelor number 1's quote.
Okay.
Bachelor number 2's quote: try not to touch the past. Try to deal with the past. It's not real. It's just a dream.
Okay.
And Bachelor 3's quote: I'm outspoken, good looking, love to party and have fun. So out of those 3 bachelors, which one of those is the one that tickles your fancy the most?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, it's gonna be Bachelor 3 because, like, I find that hilarious because I find it a little bit narcissistic. That's awful, but also I find it like kind of sarcastic in my type of humor because I'd be the type that would be like, I'm so cute. Oh, date me. Like that would be me. Like that's how I am. My personality. So I'm going to go with Bachelor number 3.
Okay, well, let's meet Bachelor number 1, the one you turned down. Bachelor number 1 was Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh, well, hey, guess what? I would have been safe. He wouldn't have ate nothing.
Exactly. Bachelor number 2 that you also turned down was Mr. Ted Bundy.
I mean, I'm okay with that because, like, you know.
Yeah. Bachelor number 3, the one you picked, which I kind of thought you would, is Joe Exotic, and he's not a serial killer in any way, shape, or form.
But I don't toot his horn, if you know what I mean.
You don't, but I think you and Joe Exotic, like on a night out, on a date, drinking some beers, drinking some wine, I think that would be
so fucking wild. He would be so wild. He would be like spinning his shirt like a fucking helicopter type of shit, right? Because he's that level. But at least I picked someone that's non-sexually threatening to me.
And someone who's not a murderer. That's another
Well,
bonus.
He's not a murderer. That is true. I don't put no. At least not in my eyes. I don't believe him to be a murderer. So I think I just picked me like a gay bestie.
Yeah.
That's all I did.
And if Joe Exotic does get out and he does get pardoned or he does get his appeal through, I think we need to make a night out with Heather and Joe happen and just live stream it to the world, because that would be the best thing ever.
I don't know. You know, he reminds me of some of my friends when I used to go to the clubs and in my 20s, and I went to the gay clubs because it was like my favorite thing because you didn't have to worry, literally really didn't have to worry about anybody hitting on you. Obviously, like even the women, they weren't hitting on me like that. Everybody was very respectable. It's crazy. If you go to a gay bar versus a straight bar, they're like, all you have to do is say, I'm not interested. And they're like, okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah. I never had any issue, but those boys can party and we had a lot of fun. I had so much fun. So much.
And that was the You Run podcast dating game.
I got pregnant. I want my child support, Joe.
Joe's got enough bills. On that note, I think it's a wonderful place to end the show. So take us away.
I'm going to take you away. Okay, guys. Again, I don't even know what to say most of the time on these endings. I think I used to be better at doing this, and then I got pregnant again, and I can't think straight anymore, Scott. I'm going to be honest with you.
It's hard to concentrate when, like, anyone listening, try and concentrate when you're being constantly kicked in the stomach. It must be harder.
I am, and I have sciatica. So you ladies, men can have sciatica too, but like you pregnant ladies out there, are pregnant listeners or previously pregnant listeners, sciatica fucking hurts, and it's hurting right now. So I really pushed through to get through these last few recordings because it sucks. The recordings don't suck. It sucks because I either have indigestion and also trying to burp while we're fucking recording, or this baby is kicking me in my bladder. But anyways, I think that the best way to end this is just to remember what I said about the PSA. Please be safe out there, you guys. I hope that you all enjoy this episode and that you keep listening. And please, please go find us on Spotify, Apple, I would say wherever else you get your podcasts, but we really need you to find us on Spotify. Give us a follow, all those things. Rate, review us. That really helps bump us up so that other people can potentially find us while looking for true crime podcasts. But until next time, you guys, I want you to stay safe, stay spooky. See you another time. Bye.
Heather's raging, old news she screams. The newer cases are all that she dreams. We dive into cases both weird and grim, from Zodiac ciphers to Tiger King's whim. Where you run podcast, the oddball pair. We're pretty damn good to be fair. You run podcast, do true crime. Heather's ranting, skirts in denial. From Manson's madness to Tupac's case, we're serving up crime with a comical grace. We're digging up dirt with a wink and a nod. You run podcast approved by God. Probably not. Scott's like, can we talk about movies? Heather's yelling, no, it's time to do this. We're trapped in a world of murder and gore, but hey, at least we've got podcast galore. Toolbox killers are chilling affair, but we're adding our humor to ease up. You run podcast, do true crime. Heather's ranting, Scott's in denial. From Manson's madness to Tupac's case, we're serving up crime with a comical grace. We're digging up dirt with a wink and a nod. You run podcast approved by God. Probably not. Probably not. Probably not. Probably not. Scott's like, can we talk about movies? Heather's yelling, no, it's time to do this. We're trapped in a world of murder and gore, but hey, at least we've got podcast galore. Toolbox killers are chilling affair, but we're adding our humor to ease up. You run